Let's see if we are. We should be streaming now. I see the little here doing sous chef stuff for me, helping out with some barbecue here. We got Brian Smokovich from Pistachio.fi. We had you on the podcast about 3-4 weeks ago, and it was really awesome not only to have you on that episode, but also we're fellow moderators on our Ethereum. I don't know if you can see these shirts. I made these shirts that say our Ethereum generic mod shirt. Brian, can you turn around and show the world the back?
I got it. I got it.
You guys will get the idea. Squat. There it says, make Ethereum Reddit genuinely excellent. All right, so you got a good shot of Brian's ass there, and it says the merge, right? So we had this merge happen with the ETH Finance, EVMavericks, that whole crew coming over to our Ethereum, and I say it all the time. The move was awesome. It's been great. Got a little bit of love from JB Schweitzer in the Telegram saying, the vibes are good. And I think what we're doing right here in Denver is like illustrative of that. So before we get into talking a little bit about what's going on, this is in lieu of our weekly Dudes podcast, which takes place on Fridays, generally at 2 Eastern. We decided to do a special episode today from ETHDenver, because I have to host another barbecue tomorrow at a Green Pill location, and it was just going to be smack dab in the middle of the time of doing it. But it was like, I can't skip a week. We're really having a lot of fun with this podcast, and I told Brian, I said, I'm going to bring some gear.
Hell yeah, man. And this is perfect. It's one of the, I think it might even be my first live podcast.
Oh, really?
Which is super. It's just super fun, right? We got the setup, we have the camera, we got everything going on with the banner, and even I made sure to get the pistachio plated wind guards even.
Yeah, he was. I had to send him out to a music store to go grab a microphone, and I was like, get a wind guard while you're at it, and he found these green ones, which is really something special. So yeah, Pistachio is a major sponsor for this Airbnb, and the EVMavericks are kind of handling the barbecue side of things. A-Word, our right-hand man from the Weekly Dudes, is over here. He's literally saucing the bottles right now, right? He's getting things cooking over there. And we've got two other sponsors. You want to tell us a little bit about Plume and Mantle?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're throwing a little event today, right? EVMavericks have been really incredible throughout this whole thing. So first off, just special shout out to you, man. It's been a pleasure to meet you in person and hang out with you these last 2 days. And you're a machine. The food is just delicious, and we're gonna be feeding a lot of people today. So that's gonna be really incredible. So obviously we have Pistachio as the main sponsor for the house and the event. We're going to be doing a LAN party, a Super Smash Brothers tournament. And then we have two other sponsors who are Plume and Mantle. They are two of Pistachio's largest partners, actually. And the reason for that is, let's start off with Mantle. Pistachio is actually in Mantle's LATAM Odysseus Accelerator. So that's been a real pleasure. So shout out to them for having us in this program. Really amazing stuff what they got going on. There's going to be a lot of both Mantle and Plume people here this evening, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Mantle itself is a L2 on the Ethereum network. If you want to learn more about Mantle, please go to I believe it's mantle.xyz. So a lot of good stuff that they got going on there, and their team is just class. Team is very high quality in class, and so what they're building. They're empowering a lot of builders, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of apps coming on to Mantle within the future. They have a really good BD guy who just hustles, right? Just a lot, and their whole team hustles, but this guy especially is special. Special shout out to Veer. He does amazing work over there with them. And then with Plume, so Plume is currently it's launching as an L2 on Arbitrum.
An L2 on an L2.
Right. So it's within the Arbitrum orbit, right? So
gotcha.
Arbitrum has its way that you can basically, all of them do, like Optimism in the super chain in the same way that base is an Optimism. Plume is initially launching as an Arbitrum super chain. It is migrating to its own L1 at some point in time. And basically what it is, it's an EVM compatible alt L1 network that specializes in RWA assets, right? So RWAs, real world assets. Think tokenized securities, bonds, private credit markets, gold, silver, you name it, and that's kind of their focus. They've had some really good events here throughout the week as well. Special shout out to them. If they come early to the event, we'll see if we can get some of their guys onto the podcast as well. And then the same way that BD is such a big thing for me, right? And so in the same way that Mantle has sort of a very high quality BD in Veer, special shout out to Jack over at Plume, who's been hustling his ass off as well this week.
Was he here last night?
He was here last night. When we were here hanging out with Paul a little bit.
Yeah, and Paul Brody stopped by. I drove into town. Well, 2 days ago, I smoked 16 pork butts. I got everything pulled, packed it, drove 8 hours, and I got a hold of Brian, and I was wondering, maybe we could break in the Airbnb a little bit early and have some people come over to do a little sampling, and I got a hold of Paul Brody. And if you know Paul, he likes a smaller gathering sometimes. I mean, he could talk in front of a crowd of 500 people and knock them out, but he was like, yeah, I'll be over. And he came over and had a little bit of barbecue, and it was funny because Paul brought me a gift from EY, like a coffee mug, and Jack looked at me because I think he just thought I was like the cook that got hired to do the party. And Paul Brody walks in, gives me a coffee mug, and Jack looks at me and he's like, how do you guys know each other? I'm like, well, it's all about a little bit of an EY event that took place during the pandemic on ETH Finance when we were kind of in the doldrums of everything was locked down, no conferences. And Paul and I have been kind of friends from two different worlds, he's a high flying guy in EY, and I'm like this, semi-retired elementary music teacher that just likes to barbecue.
Connected. The people love it. The people love you. You have such good vibes, right? Whether it's the community management that you do with the Mavericks, or whether it's just the effort that you put into our Ethereum. A lot of respect to you, genuinely. Like,
thank you.
You and the mods that came over throughout the merge from ETH Finance to Ethereum are hustlers. Every single one of them, they put in their effort, they put in the work to either remove scams, remove spam.
Yeah.
Have a very good mindset when it comes to what needs to be removed, what doesn't, right? And I know there was a lot of concern maybe going into it about how it was going to work out, but you guys have been nothing short of spectacular.
Well, thank you. And I feel like when we came in, it was kind of like a bull in a china closet, and we just immediately grabbed all the low-hanging fruit. And there were times between the moderator teams, early on, where we would have some pretty lively discussion, for lack of a better word, trying to kind of get a feel of like how to oil the machine. We knew the machine needed a little bit of a kickstart and reinvigoration, and I feel like a lot of that is for the moderators to be present in public as much as possible. I appreciate you giving me some accolades for doing this, but I think I get far too much credit for being the most public person on the ETH Finance moderator team. We had, up until we did the merge with our Ethereum, we were very lively. There's five or six of us, very lively in back channels, chatting back and forth. And I feel like one of the big credits of what we're trying to do is we're trying to make Reddit useful in a very different way than a normal forum, by doing things like the Dudes podcast, where we grade comments on each day's daily, assign those people a point if they got nominated to be, the top 10 of the previous daily, and then doing a weekly show. We're trying to amplify what makes Ethereum Reddit great, and it's really contagious. It's a very focused group. People really know each other behind these usernames in a very interesting way. And we felt like, man, if we could bring this over to our Ethereum, the main Ethereum subreddit, and try to ignite a town forum, if you will, surrounding what's good about Ethereum, even the fair criticisms about Ethereum, and try to really hash out good quality content and upvoting it to the top and getting nominated for the Dudes, trying to figure out ways to use, Reddit upvotes and Dudes and stuff to just keep the machine well oiled, and let people know, like, Ethereum Reddit is super relevant. It's super relevant, and some people would call us an echo chamber. That's because we are. It's in the name. Ethereum is in the name of our sub. And so when we see people going crazy on Twitter, they're going crazy on Twitter. It's like, it's such a good place to come back in, refocus your efforts, and then pollinate outwards again. And we want that push and pull.
And the thing is, all of Reddit is an echo chamber, right? Like every subreddit, because it's just a natural progression of its existence. Like right? There are pages that are meant for people who are really enthusiastic about certain topics to come in and discuss it. And one thing that we try to do in Ethereum is promote the aspect of free speech to a point, right? There's people who I think abuse that, whether it's hyper-aggressive trolling, spreading misinformation, hate speech, things like that are just generally unproductive for the subreddit that obviously we need to filter out because that's
leave that
what
trash on
moderation
X.
does. Exactly, right? We're not here to be Elon for Reddit. We're here to promote high quality, highly curated, Ethereum relevant information, because that's what people come to the sub to see, right? They wanna come here and either learn something new about the protocol, or maybe they're a new user who has a question. There's a lot of troubleshooting that goes on in the subreddit,
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely, and we've interviewed people on this podcast who are from different teams from different projects, and then they get in front of the Mavericks and they start to listen to the feed. That's the thing that's awesome about this platform with the Dudes podcast is we actively have a Discord channel and a stage where people can raise their hand and come on up on stage if they want to say something or ask some questions. And we've been doing it that way for a long time. We've had some guests that have come on and they usually walk away going, I didn't know where those PFPs came from, those lions. But every
Me
time
neither. I now get it.
Yeah, now you get it. It's like that's where we're from. And so they walk away going, every time I see the Mavericks on X, I'm like, they're a very reasonably intellectually, honest people and fun to deal with,
A lot of really brilliant people in the subreddit that I've had the pleasure of speaking with, and I think a few of them we're going to be meeting today.
Yep.
At the event as well. So that's really great. But man, yeah, a lot of brain power in that Discord.
Shout out to James Carnley. Shout out to Denton. Shout out to Austin ST from the Astis crew along with Coup d'etat. Logri the Bard's in town. Who else we got? A-word. Titus is coming in. Let's see. Maybe if I can get him here, I'd like to get Justin LaRue, Midnight on Mars, CEO of Grid Plus. Not a sponsor, by the way. Not a sponsor. They could someday, though. That's a long story. I love those people. I do a little bit of side work for them, but if we get Justin through here, and it's cool whenever we get a chance to see each other in places like ETHDenver. ETHDenver just has such a cool vibe to it, and every time I come here, I walk away a lot, more educated about what people are really into. Let's go back to last night. We had this little focus group barbecue, and it was like 10 or 12 of us, beyond stuffing our faces with delicious pulled pork and beans. I feel like the people that walked through the main conference, it's like AI is definitely the thing. Like AI talk and decentralized AI projects are kind of a big talking point this year. Let us know on X, what have you been seeing? If you're at the conferences, right now we're streaming on X and YouTube. We're on the Pistachio.fi Twitter handle, I believe.
Yeah, we are. I just saw. I retweeted it from my own personal one as well. So if anyone's watching, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, and EVMavericks Twitter handle's live. I think I put mine out there too, and then of course I think YouTube and LinkedIn. I think I put it on my LinkedIn channel too. So we're trying to broadcast loud and proud out of ETHDenver, and it's just been wonderful. Let's do a quick pivot back to Pistachio just to refresh people again about what this project is, what it means, and how many people they're signed up for this event tonight. Can you tell us there's a wait list for getting in?
Yeah, there's currently a wait list to get in because the venue it's spacious but limited, right? And so it's more of a no ticket, no entry. Our wait list is oversubscribed, and it's with a lot of partners and really high quality people that we've curated throughout the space. So I'm sure it's going to be a really good time. A lot of personal invites, and so The wait list does go on a bit to like double what we have. I mean, I can't really let anyone in at this point just for the sake, but I'm sure there'll be people flowing in and out throughout the day. So I definitely encourage everyone, if you have a ticket, to come on by. Spend some time with us. You know, we have the So what we're doing is we're hosting a Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Tournament.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, but the winner gets a Switch. So, you know, that's why we got a brand new Switch right here.
There you go.
They get to take that home with them.
Play it on the plane on the way home, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have Super Smash Brothers. We're going to have Mario Kart. We're going to have some Halo running, because I was a bit of a Halo player back in the day.
Wow.
So I brought my Xbox and some Xbox controllers so we could, like, split screen it. Yambo, I believe, is bringing Guitar Hero, which is going to be MVP right there. He's bringing 2 other Switches as well for us with all the characters unlocked. So
And Yambo's a friend of mine. He's formerly a video game developer. He's kind of a jack of all trades, very intellectual character, and he's actually a really good gamer. So I'm excited to see him come in. I think Austin ST said he's ready to throw down on some Super Smash Brothers. I was talking to him on Discord. I've got a Switch at the house now. I'm a Metroid nerd, but on a tangent, do you know what I've been playing lately? Final Fantasy 1, the Pixel Remaster. I just finished that. Now I'm doing Final Fantasy 2. And the reason why I like those is it's kind of hard to suck at it. you just keep going around in the forest slaying enough pigs. Eventually you're going to win. You just got to walk.
Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah,
what a throwback.
They released an awesome bundle. They took Final Fantasy 1 through 6 and bundled it up in a Pixel Remaster, which it's kind of the music's nicer, and just the overall look is nicer. It's not trying to take it totally away from the 8 or 16-bit look. It's just more refined and much cleaner, and there's cool transitions. And they bundled all 6 of those for like $70, which is like half a year's worth of enjoyment for pennies a day.
I was always more of a Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior guy. I don't know if you know. Yeah, man, those games go back, right? They're just masterpieces. I played the Dragon Warrior Monsters on the Game Boy, and then the new one actually came out was fire as well. I grinded through that one before my Switch got stolen, along with all of the rest of my stuff. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, two luggages, a laptop, my ledgers, my everything. Got my life stolen.
Well, we don't want to open up that can of worms now, do we?
We've moved back. We've healed. It's a healed trauma.
It is a healed trauma. Yeah, welcome to my world. 2 SIM swaps later, I'm still standing. I had a call a couple of days ago from Yahoo Security, and I was on the phone with Yahoo Security. I was like basically just stringing the kid along. I mean, it's scary how scripted these scam artists are these days. They literally have call centers. This kid had there was no indication he was anything other than like a real tech support personality, right on down to the script. It was like he had taken the time to write out prompts to make the person on the other end of the phone feel like they really were talking to an agent. There was zero riffing at all. It was all scripted. And I was like, my antennas went up, and then he's like, I'm going to have Yahoo push out, you're going to give a 6-digit security code to a text message. Don't tell me on the phone, right? Don't say anything on the phone. You're going to get a push request on your text. I'm like, let's get this straight. You want me to give you a 6-digit security code, SMS code, which would have then obviously given them access to my Yahoo account. And I said, well, that's funny. I'm like, it says here you're from Etna, Pennsylvania, which is a town of less than 3,000 people. Is there a Yahoo, call center there? And he's like, well, I work remote. I go, wait, so now you're telling me you work for Yahoo Security remote? Yeah, okay, this is good, And I said, well, go ahead and send that push request. He's like, don't tell me the code on the phone. I'm like, I won't. And ding, there it came. Hey, Yahoo here. I go, this is the same phone number that you're calling me from. You want me to send this as a text to this? And he's like, yes, sir. And he was like, there was long pauses. He was just waiting me out, and I just kept sitting on the phone like.
I love wasting their time.
As long as I keep him on the phone with me, he ain't hurting anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, the easiest thing to understand that that's a scammer is they don't call you otherwise.
Yeah, who don't give a shit.
No. Why would any support person call you ever?
Yeah, they don't care. And it's not even like I had a paid account. I said, why don't we do this a different way? He goes, well, the person that's trying to impersonate you signed up with an Apple 5S in Toronto. Are you from Toronto? This is earlier in the call. Are you from Toronto, or are you traveling, or do you own an iPhone 5S? No, I do not. I'm sorry. And he goes,
I usually tell them yes just to try to throw
just
them
to
off.
throw them off.
I'm like, oh, yeah, that was me. And they're like, what?
I said, let's do this a different way. We're not going to do SMS, you know. And he's like, well, the attack or the person was trying to impersonate you. They gave us your social security number. And I was like, my social security number? And he's like, yes. He's like, I can tell you the 4 digits. I go, great. It's 6767. You already knew that. You know why you already know that? Because Ledger, because of Experian, because of all these hacks. I'm like, everybody knows my social security number. Like, I've been such a target for so long. Everybody's like a target now. And this call center was so perfect, this kid. It was so perfect for anybody that didn't have an understanding of what was happening. They rug so many people. It's an industry. I mean, these people could be doing something legit in the world, but their job is to like scam people, and it's sad. But anyway, so you lost your Switch and luggage and your ledgers.
Yeah, a few things.
Yeah, damn. Well, okay, so let's go. Pistachio, remind the audience once again what Pistachio is.
Awesome. So Pistachio is the easiest way to grow your wealth. All right, and a lot of what we're trying to do is just keep the marketing very simple. Because it's not just for crypto natives. It's designed. It's an app that's designed to really resonate with crypto natives, especially people who predominantly use Ethereum. But with the idea that the UI and the UX is so simple that anyone can use it. Right. This is the type of wallet or investment application rather that you can onboard your friends and your family to. And they'd be able to use it and understand it without the need for gas or token approvals or all these other little UX things that have plagued our industry for the last 10 years. And so we have built essentially an easy-to-use, mobile-first investment application with access to curated yield opportunities while you can maintain instant liquidity.
What's a curated yield opportunity? What does that mean?
Right. So in DeFi, there's thousands of different pools and vaults and things that you can, deposit your money and earn a yield on, right? And so what we do is we curate like the best of the best. We go through and find, so we start off with decentralized lending, for example, and it's, we know where the yield comes from. It comes from the protocol against the borrow side of the of your supplied collateral. And so you earn interest by lending it out to the decentralized protocol, right? It's probably the most basic yield that there is in DeFi right now. And the hardened protocols, Aave, Compound, Morpho, Fluid, are hardened, right? Over time, they're the least likely to be hacked because they have massive amounts of TVL. They have time in the market. They have all these different audits. They have upgrades. And all of this together makes them the safest place to earn this yield. It's as close to risk-free as you can get. Obviously, there's still small amounts of smart contract risk within them, and then there's collateral risk based on the type of collateral that you're lending. But overall, we explain all this in very simple words to the user within the application so that they can see, okay, this is my APY, this is what I have, this is my reward, and then we explain them the risk in terms of where's the yield come from. What is the collateral risk and what is the strategy risk? And so, right, when you want to make an investment, at the end of the day, the only things you want to know are what's the risk reward. And so we make that very succinct for the user, and that way they can deposit, and we do gasless deposits, right? And these vaults are uploaded to, or we take them from layer 2 networks. So it's Base, Arbitrum, and Optimism, for example, are 3 of our first vaults. And we abstract away the gas for the user. So you can deposit $10 into a USDC vault on Base. And
for free.
For free. And start without gas, right? And you start earning about 4.5%, I think is like the rate now. And what we're going to do is we mark the vaults as low, medium, and high risk. So these are the lowest risk, right? And so medium risk would be, for example, optimized decentralized lending protocols. And so what all this does is it takes all of these hardened protocols that I mentioned before, it adds one layer of smart contract risk on top of it, and that smart contract now manages between all of the vaults to give the user, to basically switch the funds to always be giving the user the highest rate between them. And the rate is about double. It's probably about like 8 to 9%.
Nice.
Yeah. And so
That's a medium.
That's a medium. It's going to be a medium risk vault.
Okay.
And so, right, and the idea is to empower the user to understand what their risk reward is, where they wanna go. A lot of times, and kind of what I've compared it to, is there's this idea of a lot of people say just choose one investment option for like 4%, just let the users do that, and they deposit into it, right? And sure, that's good for the very average retail user who just wants to earn yield. I think that's fine. I think I'm targeting a user that is just slightly more investor savvy, right? People who like to manage their own portfolio, who like to understand where they're putting their money, because those are the people who generally have a bit more risk appetite for investments. And then I'm giving them basically a way to diversify their portfolio in both crypto correlated assets and crypto and non-crypto correlated assets. And so this is where Plume comes in. And some of they'll have vaults of all three risk profiles. And basically, because what Plume does is they do real world assets, right? So in Pistachio, we're going to have an explorer, and people will be able to search and find on-chain, just different yield opportunities, whether it's on-chain gold, silver, equity, like equity derivatives, essentially. There will be those types of permissionless assets that they can invest in. But also, the more powerful ones are going to be what Plume calls nests, and they're basically like indices of different RWAs that are optimized for yield.
Indices, like in a basket of different. Interesting. Okay.
Right, exactly right. And so these, again, are the yield is derived from RWAs. And so the idea is, where does the yield come from, right? Like when Luna Terra happened and they were giving a 20% guaranteed fixed yield, the biggest question for everyone was, where does the yield come from? Where does it come from? Like what makes this sustainable? It's fine if, let's say, protocols have a really high APY in the beginning to like incentivize people to come on, and then it curves down as more users come in and more collateral comes in, right? It's like, okay, it's just like it's understood that it's not sustainable. But that wasn't the case with Luna Terra. And without getting too far into it, obviously, that some people saw that as an exploit. They decided to exploit the platform and destroy everything in the process, and then the massive contagion fell out from there, and yada yada, right? So what we do is we warn the users about where the yield comes from, right? And so we're going to go into whether for these nest vaults, for example, we'll do a breakdown of the RWAs that are backing the actual yield for it. Most of them have instant liquidity, right? Meaning you can deposit and then withdraw 5 seconds later if you'd like. Some of the vaults will have like lockup periods just because of the way that the underlying vault works, right? So there's one that we want to implement is a private credit markets, and which is really cool. It's kind of like basically what banks do, where they lend out to private lenders who they've qualified as quality and capable to take these loans out, right? And so we have a 15% fixed yield product, but it's with a 30-day redemption period. So so you put in $100, it gets locked up for 30 days, and then after that month, you can take it out whenever you want, but the yield accrues on like that 30-day basis. So it'd be like an annual yield of 15%. You just, if you want to only keep it in there for a month, you divide that by 12, and that would be like your monthly yield, but still getting pretty damn good yield. And this is probably somewhere between in a medium risk investment to a high risk investment. It depends on, we do our due diligence to basically, we talk with all the protocols, right? We talk with the protocols beforehand. We look through their audits, who's audited them. But then we have to go into the strategy, right? So if these are private credit markets, who are the borrowers, right? How can the end user potentially be affected? And so this is just the type of research that we do when we curate the vaults to decide who we want to allow the users to invest into, right? Like that part is very much permissioned, just because we're here to protect the nuts of the people, right? Pistachio, protect your nut.
There it is.
had to work it in at some point.
Yeah, you did. And I worked in a dad joke last night or today because they got pistachios here. I said, just remind people it's not a shell company. It's so I got to ask you, how big's your team? Because I think you can count on one hand almost. There's two people. And when did you start? When did the two of you meet and say, "Hey, let's do this"?
Yeah, so it's funny because we were talking with A-Word yesterday, and he's like, "Oh, how big's the team?" We're like, "2 people." And he's like, "You're kidding me, right?" Like, no. It's like you guys come off as like you're this like much larger organization, just by the way like you have like the website and the app, and you guys handle yourself and talk. I'm like, thank you. It's a great compliment.
And self-funded too. Yeah.
Yeah, mostly. We raised a small angel round.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and for the the rest of it's bootstrapped, which is, painful. Not taking a paycheck for 2 years now, and so, but we'll get there. It's a matter of time, and it's a matter of maximizing our leverage. Is why we've kind of did things the way we did. But sorry, the original question.
The original question is, you two, Matt. When did you start?
Right. So it was April 2020. We're in 5 now, so we started in April 2023. We met.
You like speed ran getting this thing, because this is the way I look at this is a kind of a one-stop way for you to you connect your bank account through a variety of methods, and then you can just get right into it with DeFi and any type of protocol that's out there, basically, with all these AAA asset things you can invest in from there. So you've taken down so many barriers to entry. Now, at least for U.S. customers, there's some KYC hurdles, but shocker, that's true for anyone.
And it depends on what you're using
and
right?
what you're doing. Okay.
So to like download and use the app, there's no KYC. It's a non-custodial product. The only restrictions are that certain countries you can't download or use the application, like OFAC sanctioned countries, because we're a Delaware C corp, right? We're an American company, and so we have to take certain precautions when doing things. But I do it in a way to best align with Web3 ethos wherever possible, right? So to use it, the app itself is non-custodial. And if you transfer existing crypto, we have ways to establish secure connections to your Binance account, your Coinbase account, your Rainbow wallet, your Argent wallet, whatever it is, where your existing crypto lives. None of that is KYC, right? Because those platforms have KYC'd you, and you're just doing a crypto transfer. Where the KYC comes in is anytime you want to do on or off ramping, right? So that's fiat to crypto and crypto to fiat, and we support the on ramping of over 130 different currencies.
Wow.
Yeah.
130 currencies.
And so what we do is we aggregate we aggregate 23 different on-ramp providers. And based on the currency that you want to use and the currency you want to onboard to and the method you want to do, right? So we support Apple Pay, Google Pay, ACH if you're in the US, SPAY if you're in Mexico. I think Pax is the one that's in Brazil, like local methods as well. Even in Mexico, actually, one really cool thing is you can buy crypto in cash at the OXXO and then like deposit it to your account. And so the way that we're able to do this, though, is because of the aggregated on-rampers. And so based on whichever ones you do and based on the rate that you want, and most of it's nudged for you, right? Like once you select it, it'll basically give you the suggested option, and you can choose that if you want to change, or just go with the nudge and go through the process. And there's minimal KYC on purchase amounts. I believe it's below $500 a month. And so, like, one of the providers, I forget which one, it may have been on Limit or another one. It's like I wanted to buy $100 of ETH. I just put my name and my email, and I had it in my wallet. It was great.
Oh, that's fantastic. And honestly, for most people, $500 a month is like, that's a pretty good cap, for most people to achieve. I mean, a lot of people, I'm going back to when I was a teacher. I was happy to get $50 in every 2 weeks. I mean, that was just the baseline pay for what I was doing. So I was still participating, but you've got it set up. It sounds like where you can minimize how much it costs for fees and whatnot to get your crypto in there.
We minimize fees as best as we can.
Yeah.
Like the on-rampers take a cut, and I don't take a cut from on-ramp or off-ramp.
Okay, so that's good. That's good for people to hear.
Right.
There's no cut for you guys on the on-ramp or out. Okay.
No, I want users to have as much of their money as possible when bringing it into my ecosystem, and if they want to leave, that's fine. It's like, there's the door, you can leave, and I'm not taking my cut. Right? I personally don't like that as a user to get money in or out. There is a fee, of course, by the on-rampers, because that's just something I can't get away from, because those rails do cost money.
Sure.
And we'll minimize that over time. There are ways to minimize that for users to make it as seamless and as cheap as possible, and we'll do that, right? Just being unfunded, there are certain hurdles and bandwidth limitations that we can when we implement these things. Yeah,
you got to sleep at some point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, ETHDenver is always like a grind, and you're just go. But your partner, I think your partner was coding when I came in yesterday, like working on stuff, and it's just you don't stop when you get here.
We were up till I think 1:30 a.m. last night. Everyone else, there was like people passed out on the couches. Everyone else went home, and then Kyle and I were over there just grinding away.
Awesome.
His one specific request about this show was, please do not call me over and have me on. He's like, I'm not talking. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm the mouth.
And what was Michael's background before Pistachio?
Kyle.
Oh, Kyle. I'm sorry.
Right. So Kyle's a self-taught developer. He's been building for probably like 14, 15 years now. Yeah, and he's done several.
Since he was like 7 then.
Yeah.
Because he's a pretty young guy.
He's 20. Yeah, he's 28, 29. And I believe he started when he was like 14, 15. And so he basically was self-taught. He went to school for a little while, but when he got there, they were teaching him software development, and it was like, I know all of this, so he dropped out.
Oh, smart man.
Yeah, he's like, I don't need this.
Yeah, Kyle, sorry I got your name mixed up. There was a Michael floating around here. He's going to throw some barbecue sauce at me for screwing that one up. There was a Michael floating around last night, I think. Right?
Michael's still here. Michael's one of our other friends helping us out today.
Kyle, is Kyle on a computer over there? Are you coding right now? I think he is. I'm pretty sure he is. He's got to work up an appetite for this barbecue.
Well, yeah. So we got, Paul Brody downloaded the app last night.
This was really cool. This was funny because I don't think Paul came over thinking he was going to be working on a crypto app. And actually, at Paul's keynote this morning at the EY building, he was shouting out the experience. He's like, I did the most crypto thing last night at this Airbnb, and it's like when I come to town, I like to play in the sandbox, and he had a real positive kind of review over it. He was trying just to do some very simple things, and kind of got the gist of it, and walked away rather impressed. I was going to ask you, who else has taken a look at the Pistachio product and given you some feedback, and directionally you like where you're landing at this point, and how soon can people onboard?
Yeah, great questions. A lot of people have had a lot. We've had maybe, I think, between 100 and 125 test wallets, right, in the closed beta that we had. A lot of good feedback there. But what I did is I spent in addition to our accelerator course and preparing for ETHDenver, I was also I ran about 25 hour-long research design sessions over the last 3 weeks before leading up to Denver. And so this involved a lot of conversations of figuring out value proposition.
This is where you were interviewing different people and getting their real-world feedback. And so that you did 25 1-hour-long focus sessions with 25 individuals. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah, and it was basically to understand from all different sort of crypto literacies, right? From like more like novice to like security maxi, and figuring out like the goal. There's a few goals of the sessions. The first goal was to define our user archetypes and who we are targeting with this app right now that we have this app, because the scope of the app and what we have was sort of like growing. There's core value proposition, and then there was like the actual like features and what we have in the app. And then obviously there's like the roadmap, and it was kind of growing to the point where we wanted to take a step back and be like, okay, before we do anything else, like, what do people want? Right?
Mm.
What are people going to use this for? What do people want? We have the basis of the application, and unfortunately because of the product that we're building, a lot of the really cool UX stuff that we do essentially is our table stakes, which is the way it should be, and like obviously annoying because it extends the amount of time that it takes us to get to market. Because if we don't at least make table stakes in these benchmarks against other wallets, people won't use us to begin with.
Oh,
so
Paul talked about this morning about the escape velocity of like TCP/IP. Like there was a lot of different protocols trying to tackle this thing that we now call the internet, and then there's the more the time goes on, it whittles away the competition. It's kind of like the market share. He compared the market share of desktop operating systems, and it shows Microsoft is just like through the roof, and then Apple, and then Linux. Now, of course, Linux is used not so much like for standard desktop things. It's used everywhere for other things too. But his point and your point is, how do you capture, growth and bottle that and keep it and maintain it and accelerate too? Because it is like the competition's out there.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
There's there's a lot of different ways to compete against them, right? Whether it's go to market, whether it's incentives. I'm a big fan of branding, obviously. I think branding is really important. I think most Web3 companies probably fail at branding. They create brands that aren't like the only in my opinion the main point of branding is to be remembered, right? And if people don't remember your brand, what good is it? Almost.
Right.
And when you look at, I had one guy one time tell me, oh, you may want to think about, renaming and rebranding your whole app. Pistachio doesn't tell me what you guys do. I was like, why should it tell you what we do? It creates intrigue. It creates an emotional attachment because people love pistachios, right? It makes you hungry. It's this like kind of like luxurious nut, and you're like, oh, okay, what's pistachio? And it's like the same thing in every language: pistachio, pistache, pistachio. It's all very similar, very recognizable. And when you think of other big brands, right, that are out there, like Apple doesn't make apples. Like
Kleenex doesn't. What the hell is Kleenex? Like it doesn't describe anything about the product. That's a good point.
Yeah, Nike. Like what's a Nike? Or Microsoft. But what's important is that they're very memorable, right? Apple, Nike, Microsoft. They're easy to remember. They're easy to say. They stand out in your mind, and that's the most important part about branding. Like literally, when I was in DevCon. Running all around the conference, and people meet hundreds of people. They see all of these different projects, and they get pitched, and whether it's like, oh, I'm doing this B2B thing, or I'm built this app, and although you only hear that 5 times because there's like 5 to 7 app builders at once at a conference.
I know your head's down. I'm gonna pivot just a little bit. I know your head's down building Pistachio, but either since DevCon or since your time at ETHDenver, what are some other projects or ideas out there that you've come across, or teams, or people that you've met that are really under the radar with a really big idea? Is there anybody that kind of comes to mind? Anything off the top of your head that's like, I met this person, they're building this product, it's lofty, but it's got a real shot? Any other, even if it's a competitor?
Right. There's a few, honestly, because I don't explore as much anymore.
Because you're working.
Yeah, but so I do come across a good amount of projects, just from whether it's in my accelerator, for example, or some of my integration partners. Honestly, maybe I'll shout out some of them.
Riff.
But like,
yeah.
So there's a few of our of our cohort that are doing some really cool stuff. They're all doing really cool stuff, but if I have to maybe name a few, Bondi Finance is out there doing something awesome, which is basically they're created an RWA. They've tokenized bonds. and in a legal manner as well, right? You put in, you fund it, and it's access to certain bonds that I don't believe you have access to in like a normal investment environment, that like institutional grade bonds that they're crowdsourcing to get access to, and then like the coupon pays out over a monthly period until expiration. I believe that's how it works. Definitely go check it out if that's, if people are interested in that sort of thing. There was a project that had like a really cool app, but they're winding down. Basically, it was a way to insert a widget, like a send payment widget, into your WhatsApp and like send with crypto, without fees, which was awesome. But they maybe they'll spin off another day. And then there's some underground companies that I think are really incredible from like an infrastructure standpoint that we've used because they've been so awesome. Like Mobula.io is a really good one. They basically do data aggregation. A big problem that we were looking into in creating this app was, okay, we want to support not just Ethereum, but we want to support the many L2s, right? And the problem is that if you have a wallet, and especially if you have multiple wallets, and within each of those multiple wallets you have multiple tokens and multiple chains.
On multiple chains, yeah.
Right. The data throughput or the data requirement for that can get very hefty very quickly. And because for every wallet you need, basically, it pings an API. For all the transaction history, it pings an API. For this chain, it pings the API. And so that's why many times when you go on the web, you see your wallet's only connected to one chain at first, right? And it only shows that balance.
Or you have to switch it, and it's like...
to see the other balance, right? So my presumption there is that they designed this in a way because it would save on data costs. And so what Mobula does is, and there's not a lot of companies that do this, and it was really annoying, and it's because it's really hard. But what they do is they take all of the chains and they aggregate them into their own database, and they provide us with one unified API.
Oh, wow.
And it's awesome.
Wow.
And what that allows us to do essentially into Pistachio is we can load your transaction history and your multi-chain balances for everything, all within, just I think right now it's less than a second, and we're just trying to get that faster and faster and faster. Just so like when you send or receive a transaction, it shows up in your balance right away, especially with like the fast confirmation times that we see on L2s, right?
I always like asking developers questions like that, because if the developers that are out there making products like Pistachio are excited about the integrations running under the hood, that eventually helps Bob and Alice understand, or helps them get to their end goal with less clicking and less, chain switching and all those things that really take a lot of the user experience. People are kind of fickle. If you're gonna try to go to a website and do anything, and it takes more than like 3 clicks, your attention just moves away. Like, I give up. I don't even want to try. Yeah. And that's literally, I don't know, half the people without any data to back that up. Okay.
I mean, fewer clicks is almost always one of the major UX improvements. If it takes 5 clicks to do something, there is such thing as like purposeful friction, right?
There we
go.
There's
want
the
to
term.
add friction, but that's not in this scenario.
Gotcha.
That's usually it happens in onboarding, because like you create a sort of like emotional investment or time investment of the person to get in. It also can make them feel more secure by implementing certain roadblocks within the onboarding, but the rest of it should be literally as few clicks as possible. There should be nudges, right, for certain when there is optionality within the app, nudges and recommendations to at least say, you have options, you can take any of the options, but we really just recommend this one. Just do this and move on, And so it makes the experience much faster, much quicker.
That's good. And so that, bringing it all under one API with that development, the package that you were talking about, that's super nice, because then it makes it easier for you to tell other developers, hey, check out what they did for us, because what they're doing is really making it easy for us to do the back end stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're awesome to work with. They're a very young team. I was surprised. The CEO is 19 years old on his second company. And he's whip smart, very intelligent, and grinds, man. He is. We were messaging him because we're trying to get Mantle live on the app as soon as possible. We are live in Mantle. We're live on Mantle and I believe the data is populating as well, so that means users will be able to like onboard Mantle assets to Pistachio, which is great. But we were messaging him, there's a problem. The data is not coming through for whatever reason. We can't read the tokens. He's at an event. He's here in Denver. I haven't seen him yet. I'm sure he's coming. I hope he's coming tonight. You better come tonight, Sasha.
You heard it, Sasha. Get your ass to the barbecue.
Exactly. And he was at an event a few nights ago, and I'm texting him because we need to figure this out, and he's just responding back very, very quickly. And this is just par for the course for him. I'm like, is it not like 1 or 2 a.m. sometimes where you're at because he's French, right? Like, he just always responds. Is like the CEO, incredibly responsive. Anything that we report is broken or that we need is immediately, don't worry, we'll have it handled, and gets it done. Just the way business should be done. I'm a big proponent of, I like to do business with people who are good at business. It's just kind of like a simple concept. Like, if people don't respond to me, if people don't give me deals on things, it's like, well, okay, why are we working with you? We need one. If you want to do business with someone, you need to kind of like each other. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Support obviously is a huge thing. Like, dude, if something's broken and we tell you that it's broken and it's not our fault, like, how quickly can you fix it? And I work with quite a number of teams who in our stack, and when we tell them, they're very responsive, right? And then there's a few pieces of our stack. It's just like, it's not broken at all. It's never broken, and that's the best part. It's like it just works, right? Like Li-Fi, for example, has been absolutely great with that. We do cross-chain swaps with them, and so a cool part of Pistachio is one thing that you can do is you can take an asset on any of the supported chains and swap it into any other asset on any of the other supported chains, right? Cross-chain swaps. And in the same transaction, you can also deposit it either to one of your other accounts, or you can search up your friend's Pistachio username or just a paste-in address and send it within that same transaction. And because we bundle the transaction, we abstract away the token approvals, right? It's not like a multiple step thing. It's like you submit it, it's one step, and then it sends, and you can just, if I have, ETH on base and I want to send you, and because you want
asset
USDC and Arbitrum.
Yeah, it becomes asset B, which goes to location C and does whatever D. And so you, in the normal scheme of things, if I'm tracking this correctly, it's basically it's a one pager. You can do it all. You can do it all on one page.
All on one page.
And you're not having to do 9 different things to make that happen.
Right. Just super, super easy, super simple. And we incorporate that sort of logic. And that's for people who want, right? There's this idea of chain abstraction. I don't want to understand, if I have USDC on 9 chains, on which chain it's on, right?
Oh, okay.
However, that's not this. Like, people do want to own certain assets on certain chains because of the risk portfolios that maybe some of these chains have, or they want their assets there. I prefer Arbitrum or Base or whatever it is, right? Or Plume. However, we need chain abstraction within the UX. And what I mean by that is our vaults, for example, right now, it's if you want to deposit USDC to Base, you would have to have USDC on Base to deposit it. But what we're building very soon, and with our partner, is this. They're called Zaps, is what they're the colloquial term for, or the common term for it. And it's just this idea of you can literally input whatever token you want, and we'll just swap it for you and deposit it for you, right? It's the same concept of the swap and send, but we're doing a swap and deposit to our vaults. And so if you have USDC on literally any chain, we'll be able to swap it and deposit it into, let's say, our Plume vault for you, to make it super easy that you can, without needing to know how to bridge and do all these things to access the deposits. And then the next step after that is this concept of, right, okay, I have USDC across 5 chains. I want to send it all in the same transaction, right, and deposit it. And that's the logical next step after that of what we'll be doing. And so then let's say, we have a peer-to-peer payment mechanism within Pistachio, right? So like on-chain Venmo, which is commonplace for us, adds no real value as Americans. However, a lot of places in Latin America, for example, is it's very difficult to transport money. It's from person to person. Every country has its own currency. In Mexico, where I live, for example, is you have to pass your bank details, the name of the bank, and usually it's sent in a picture, right? Everyone has a picture of all their details, and so you can't even copy paste it. You have to like write it.
Oh my gosh!
It's a lot, and what we do is we abstract away the gas fees for any peer-to-peer transaction.
Hold on, Hayward, can you pull this curtain over just a little bit?
Yo, what's up, Chewy?
Oh, we got Chewy in the house. Sounds like. Hey, that's good right there, my man. That's perfect. It was making me way too white. The sunlight's the sun angle in Denver is like beaming through the window here, and now I look just like average white guy rather than like pasty white. I try to avoid pasty white. Go on. I'm sorry. I saw Award He's busy. Award's in there like cleaning up the kitchen, getting everything ready.
He's killing it, man.
He caught my eye. I'm like, hey, we need to pull this curtain close, but go ahead and keep going with the U.S. like the various chains with the various USDC assets, you know.
And so right now, if I want to send you money on Base, for example.
Oh, rewind just like go back again. Mexico pictures.
Mexico, yeah.
Say that again. You have to.
So it's in order to pay your friends in Mexico.
Pay your friends in Mexico.
Yeah, actually, maybe we'll even have Chewy attest to this.
But not like a check. They don't just do like a check book or.
No. It's bank transfers. Right.
Okay.
And so you have like a photo usually of this is my bank. These are my receiving bank details. This is my name. This is the bank that I use, and this is my account number. I'll send that. They'll send that as a photo to their friend who has to take that and input that into their bank, right? So that they can send the pesos through. However, like the picture for the account number, because it's a rather long account. I think it's like 12 or 16. I think it's 16 digits.
Oh my gosh!
You can't. No one sends it as a copy.
Does anybody screw that up when they're writing it down?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't do much bank transfers, but I have a lot of Mexican friends and my girlfriend who suffer from this and who actively tell me about this problem. And so, and I mean, I see it. Obviously, I'm privy to it most days when I see transfers happening. I have to have my girlfriend do any transfers for me if we need to pay people like my jiu-jitsu gym. I have to pay via transfer, and so I had to get all the information, and we had to hand type it in. And would it not be just easier if you can just look up a username? Right,
yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I just pay you. Which is what we have in the U.S. Right, Venmo's
like
so
at
easy.
JT Nickel on Venmo or whatever.
Right, but the thing is with Venmo, obviously, is it's not globalized.
And so, do you go now pivoting a little bit to your girlfriend, and you've been in Mexico for a while, and this friction. Have you noticed any uptick in the use of crypto assets, stable coins being used for day to day yet?
I personally haven't. No, not at all.
Okay.
I believe crypto savvy people may use it for like if I meet up with like my Mexican crypto friends.
Like are retailers allowed to accept? Like how do they do a transfer at a store? Then they just have a.
No, I mean cards, right?
Just use cards like anything else. I'm sorry.
Just
I'm
use cards
from
like anything
Kansas.
else.
I've never been to Mexico. These are all. It's a huge nation south of us that I've never visited.
Yeah,
so this is an education for me.
People are surprised when they come to Mexico City, and it's a giant, sprawling city, man. Like, it's
a world class city. All the food and the I mean, it's huge too. It's just in it. I mean,
yeah,
it's
the food,
10 million, 12 million, 20 million people.
It might be. It's somewhere around 20 million.
Hey, Jamie, can you look that up?
Yeah, can we get a fact check?
Jamie,
this is how the Joe Rogan podcast does
this is Joe.
We need to.
Jamie, what? Does Mexico City have more than 12 million people? I think
definitely
it is.
more than 12 because New York itself is 9.
What'd you say? 22 million. Well, I did say 20.
Yeah,
I was only off by the amount of the population of the state of Kansas.
Yeah.
So then going back, I'm trying. I know we went off the rails there because I just want to make sure I heard you correct when you're talking about 16-digit bank account numbers and sending pictures of people. And God, what a mess just to like send $100 to your friend, or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's definitely frustrating, and then especially because Mexico City is a very globalized city, has people from all over the world. And it's not just there, but around the world. When if you travel and crypto conferences, for example, people come from all different countries, and it makes it so much easier now to, okay, how can we pay each other quickly and simply with a UX that's dedicated for peer-to-peer sends. I think a lot of crypto companies currently, we don't use, like, it's very easy. Like, crypto very much solves the problem of cross-border remittances, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So easy. But we don't use it for that. And my thought is that because we don't have many apps that actually create dedicated UX flows for payments, right? Like, I have to get your public address, or I have to find where the send button is within the flow, which is generally pretty easy, but it's also within the other buttons, right? It's like send, receive, deposit, whatever it is. It doesn't have a dedicated flow. And so one thing we do in Pistachio is we have this dedicated flow, similar to actually the Venmo action button, in which we have an action button for the send, and then you search up your friend's username, and then and then you send them the money on a gasless transaction. Super simple, and that's the current state is, okay, I can send you USDC on base. And the future state, again, is this idea of I'm just going to send you USDC. The chain doesn't matter. And we'll just aggregate if you have USDC on 4 different L2s, we'll just aggregate and send it over in the chain of choice, or if there's a defaulted chain. I mean, we'll get to that architecture bit when we cross that bridge. But right, that's the end user state, and so now you have a crypto fully on-chain, non-custodial crypto send flow dedicated to just very quickly sending crypto to your friends.
It's fantastic, and the world needs it. Cross-border payments and remittance, and that was always a big talking point about crypto, even 8 years ago. Like, it's going to do these things, and here we are in 2025, and it is, but it's not to where we thought it could be. And I feel like stablecoins are the catalyst to really bring that to fruition. It's like the race to the US dollar being kind of a de facto, store of value, asset digitally. There was a report, I believe it was about the velocity, about money transfers of USDC in particular, and the amount of money that is exchanged in USDC. And the talking point was that it was cross-border payments, and it wasn't. It was more like DeFi to DeFi stuff. So crypto natives doing crypto native things. It wasn't somebody trying to send money from the United States back to Latin America or home in Japan or wherever they're from.
Yeah, right, because it's still too easy, and the traditional methods are generally can be better, right? Like whether people use
well, it's also that onboard, offboard stuff when you got impoverished people or unbanked, right? So they don't have a way to take that money out of crypto if they, it's.
And that's such a big portion of it is the off ramp.
It's like if you pay people in stable coins, and then retailers have a way to accept stable coins, then you're cooking.
So there's a shortcut here for the second part, and that's to create cards, right? And that's what we're going to be doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're going to have on-chain, non-custodial smart contract debit credit cards. To the outside, it's a credit card. You can use it to rent a car, right? But for the way that it works, it's a collateralized card, so it's effectively a debit card. But what we do is we spin up a smart contract. You collateralize that card with the stable coin of choice. In the future, it'll be a yield-bearing stable coin, right? So you're gaining yield on the collateralized coin that you're storing in there, and you'll have both a virtual with the option of a physical card, right? There'll be like a premium subscription if you want a nice gunmetal one with like better benefits. And so the idea is that's the best off-ramping is just spending it, right? Because that's the goal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The problem there, and it's just kind of, it's limited in scope and it'll expand after that, right? Like the card is the first portion. There's certain bills that people can't pay with the credit card, and that then is where the solution currently falls short of being like a holistic alternative banking option. But that's the goal is to obviously move towards. They're actually who does Spritz Finance, I believe, does something like that. It was a really cool feature that they had.
What is MoonPay? I feel like
So MoonPay's a ramp, and so when that is, it's basically fiat to crypto.
okay.
I think they have an off ramp as well, actually. So both ways, fiat to crypto, crypto to fiat.
Okay.
And so they've done a very good job marketing and branding. I think they have a lot of mind share. The problem is that they're the most expensive ramp that I've seen. I think their UX is quite good, but there's plenty of other ramps with very good UXs and conversion rates. They just don't have the type of mind share that
The branding
Moon
is
Ramp
like,
has.
it's a pothead company name, right? Like to the moon. Stay with me, but you can pay.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
kind of
right.
sounds like a kind of a pothead name for a company, but yeah, the branding. That's why it's stuck in my brain because I was kind of close. I didn't hit the lawn dart in the head perfectly. It didn't. But what are you laughing at? Hayward's laughing at me. He's like, "You better shut up before you say something stupid over there." Yeah. Too late. It's too late. Hey, Chewy walked in here. Listen, I'm gonna have to get started on mix barbecue stuff up and making sure that because we got a posse of people coming over here in about an hour.
Very soon.
Very soon.
And we need to actually clean up this area as well.
Yeah, it's a mess. You really let this place go. Hey, is Chewy? Can you hear me? If you're here, do you want to come and can you go find him? Ask him if he wants to jump on the podcast with Brian real quick.
Yeah, for 10, 15 minutes, and then if not, we can wind down.
We can wind down. I asked you what you thought was a cool, like, developer-centric thing that you've come across. I had interviewed Patricia Warthalter last week for our 100th episode, and I don't know if you guys are doing PO apps. You should be if you're not. But they have a feature that you can take a picture like with once you get the PO app from somebody. Like I have an IYK disc because I'm a boomer. It's about this big around. It's like a NFC chip deal. It's like the first gen IYK disc that they can. Hey, Hayward, can you throw me my disc? It's right up on that mantle there by the microwave. Yeah.
So we have a PO app for the event, and if anyone's, for the people that are listening, if you would like to mint the PO app, right? If you like a good PO app. It's a secret word, and so it's protect your nut.
There it is.
So
protect
your nut.
Your nut. With
Yeah.
the dash in between each word.
Exactly.
That's excellent. Yeah. So this IYK disc, we who was it that tapped it last night? They opened it up and they were like, "What is this?" And then they took a picture and I can't remember what it's called. Is it
So they've released this thing called Memories,
Memories,
which is really cool.
It's
and
really neat.
Basically, you can attach a picture and a memory for when you got the PO app to the PO app itself, and I believe everyone else can see these memories, and so it's sort of like a private Snapchat in a way.
It's really cool. So anybody that redeemed it was able to take a picture, and so if I later on down the road, instead of just clicking on my PO app and being like, wow, there's my circle from 2025, now there's a whole photo album attached to anybody. So if you're coming over tonight, and I don't even know if you're watching this, but if you are coming over and you redeem this, let's take a picture together. So shout out to the PO app team and Patricia Warthalter for just an amazing product that has just stood the test of time. 5 years, I think he said on the podcast, which in crypto terms is that's an established AAA company at this point.
Yeah, they've been doing really well with just their staying power, their branding, mind share. I mean, everyone knows and loves PO apps. I think they.
You want to jump on? Everybody knows and loves PO apps. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
I'm going to hand over my microphone to Chewy.
Okay.
And headset and let you guys spitball.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when we wind down, what do I do?
I'll come back over and wind down.
Okay, I don't need to pause the stream at the end.
Yeah, there's stop streaming and then stop recording.
Okay, and I hit both of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
and then I'll call you.
We're not done yet. All right, Chewy. I'm going to hand you Chewy. It's going to have a seat here. I warmed it up for you. I'm going to get cooking.
Thank you very much.
What's up, Chewy? How was the
T-shirts,
conference,
guys.
man?
Yeah, thank you.
Testing. 1, 2.
So
All right.
now it's like my turn to introduce. The guest has become the host. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. This is Chewy Garcia. He's a very close friend of mine. We met through Dapnode, but
Yep.
then met in person at ETH Mexico, and everything that revolved around there just became fast friends.
Yep.
So, I don't know if you want to give a quick introduction to yourself or to Dapnode as well. We'll give them some airtime, right? And maybe we can talk, I don't know if you want to talk staking or just some interesting things that you found at the conference.
Sure. So, my name is Chuy. I'm from Northwest Mexico originally, but I've been living in Mexico City for so long, like since 2013. So, pretty much a Chilango by now, all except for the accent. But I before the pandemic, I used to do a lot of like entertainment industry in Mexico. So freelancing a lot in movies, also like some music business, and then the pandemic hit, and to be honest, I wasn't like very surprised at where people's creativity was going, like in order to overcome this horrible situation for creatives all over the world. So around those times, like DeFi Summer was getting popular. And it's not like, like I saw something and it was like, oh, this is great for the entertainment industry. Like I was in for the DeFi casino, of course. But then I came across governance, like decentralized governance, and that took all of my attention because I saw the potential to, like empower communities through participation. And yeah, I just fell in love with that idea, and then just started exploring more and more of the ecosystem until I came across Dapnode, because I always was interested in running my own node, but I'm not like a very technical kind of user. And then I found Dapnode as a solution. So I was a Dapnode user for almost a year before starting to work there. And I think that's like during those first days, like looking for support from the community. You were definitely one of the most popular guys there. Like people that were already like very experienced in operating your own nodes. So yeah, like ever since those days, it's like, oh yeah, B Smokes. Yeah, our guy, B Smokes. And yeah, then like I can remember how we found out that we were both in Mexico City at some point.
Chatting in the Discord.
Yep.
Oh, where are you located, by the way? Mexico City. Oh, would you look at that? All right, me too. All right, let's meet up, have a beer, some food, walk around.
Yeah. Nice days in Mexico City. Good times.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I had so much troubleshooting with the node. You saved me through a lot of hassle. I can't imagine what it would be like to run a node without Dapnode, to be honest. Right? Like I think a lot of people, especially in the Ethereum subreddit, probably the ETH staker as well, they come through, I want to run a node in this, and like, what do you guys suggest? And just literally every time for me, it's just use Dapnode. Like, I don't think it's very difficult to buy and put together your own computer, like your own NUCs. It's not a big computer, right? It's a little shell. You buy the RAM, it slides in. You buy the SSD, it slides in, and then you plug it in, and you're good to go. You Dapnode the OS, for someone, because I'm not a developer, right? I've interacted with the terminal plenty, but not to any level of comfort.
Yeah.
Just like pure fear. I'm just like, I'm gonna break this. And so I remember actually one of the first times when we were getting off Pistachio, I think I wrote one commit in our GitHub for, I don't even know why I was trying to do it, and I tried to push it up and just broke everything. I think this may have even been before I had Kyle on, and I was just like, okay, I'm not touching it. I break it. I can't I can't touch this.
Yeah, I remember the first time I broke the Dapno documentation, just trying to, like do like PRs and yeah, just like your own like branch. It's definitely something like very, very new for me. Like I'm not used to GitHub at all, but it's been an interesting learning process because in the end, one of the biggest parts of my job is to like communicate and be a facilitator for between the Dapnode dev team and the needs of the community. So yeah, it's definitely very interesting because almost everybody wants decentralization, unless like you
Unless
like
your business
Solana or
model is
something like
revolved
that. Yeah.
around centralizing.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like for better or worse, like there is this thing called decentralization, and it's something that that has been put under the spotlight in many different times when it comes to advantages and disadvantages. So I think that it's really cool, like to keep this factor like something optative from part of the projects and the founders. But I think it's really cool to like be a platform in a community that projects like want to come close to and want to approach, like when they need decentralization as something in their infrastructure or their product. So it's really cool, to be able to like fulfill this need based on the collaboration of people that are not as technical as you might think. Like it's not that, like sometimes we get even my grandma could set up Dapnode, and it's really cool. But like being like more realistic, I think that it's for people that like challenges, that like to overcome challenges. And it's not the same as like just copy pasting commands and then something goes wrong and you don't know what, and you don't know where to start in troubleshooting. But providing like a UI like Dapnode, it just feels much more intuitive, and people start to, like troubleshoot in different ways, and the process and the learning process and the experience start working differently. So yeah, definitely, I've been very, very happy these past few years, having a chance to help a project like Dapnode and such an amazing community made of people, well, like you.
Yeah, happy to be a part of. I'm in part of so many communities now. It's, I mean, it depends, right? It's, I love being a part of as many as I can that I actually contribute to. Dapnode is obviously one of them, and running that, and I mean, I got to meet yourself, and so a lot of good things, and Lansky as well. I think you and Lansky are the two main people I've met from Dapnode. I think maybe there was like one or two other, but just very awesome people who have a good ethos and who vibrate at the same resonancy as us, or resonate at the same frequency as we do. And so I think that's really awesome to kind of meet you through that. I believe are you working on anything else these days as well?
Yeah, I the whole meaning of like running your own node has evolved so much for the past 1-2 years. Definitely, I think I joined this whole ecosystem back when it was strictly necessary to have 32 ETH, to run your own validator node. And I think it's amazing how much building has been going on in the Beacon chain the past couple of years. Because you now have all kinds of stuff that you can, like customize and just like put into different use cases for staking. And one of those is DVT, or distributed validator technology. Some people hate the T, so let's just call them DVs. So distributed validators, right? You get the chance to, as a home operator, be able to compete with professional operators by putting together clusters of nodes that, like you need it's, let me take like a step back. It's like a multi-sig, but in the consensus layer rather than the execution layer. So you and I use multi-sigs, you and I use safe in the execution layer, but in the consensus layer, there's a way in which you can also split a validator key into different parts. So this is basically where things have evolved a lot, because now you are able to, maybe take like a stake-wise vault, but split the key for those validators and have a third party delegate you some ether that you're going to be staking with other home stakers. And with things like splits and noble splits, you can actually allocate a percentage of that to rewards that you're going to be also splitting among all of the operators. So all of this is based on a very interesting social layer of coordination. But the whole point is that for the past year, I've been working on this collective of operators based in Mexico. And this project is called Rancho Stake. So the idea is to provide operation services for different institutions, for different even projects. But it was something that we wanted to bring some kind of spice to. So we just sprinkled some governance on top, and we are allocating 7% of all of the rewards to go to an Aragon DAO that all of the operators collectively govern. So we don't know what's going to happen to that yet. We don't know how much money and how much ether is going to be in that Aragon for the first year of operations. But it's just a way of just making it interesting. Just using the same technology to just ask more questions and see where this takes us.
So to clarify, because you said the multi-sig is at the consensus layer or the execution layer?
It's in the case of distributed validators, is in the consensus layer.
And so is the benefit to this by running the multi-sig, does that mean that there's better uptime because all 5 of them would contribute to basically being up?
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say a smaller project or enterprise or whoever wanted to commission you guys, right? The idea is, okay, if we run our own single node, there's an opportunity for downtime, right? For failure, especially if that one goes down.
Yes.
By contracting you guys, I mean, some of the options here, I go with an enterprise grade co-location service, right? That can just have all of my servers and run it, right? But then that kind of lends to the ethos of are we not centralizing more? All of Ethereum is on AWS, as people say, even though it's not. And so this idea of resiliency and uptime, but being supported within the Web3 ethos of home stakers or like a small enterprise that's kind of that's helping you to assist this, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you can with distributed validators, you can approach decentralization from different ends. You can bring to validator operation, for example, geographic diversity. So in Mexico, we, for example, have like hurricane season. If one operator in in Cancun is just running their own node, and then you have hurricane season, sometimes power supply goes out for up to a week. So this is definitely not something convenient for that node operator. But if that node operator is only one in a cluster made out of 7 operators, for example, you can work with a threshold of 5 out of 7 operators online. So you start having this diversity, not only geographic, but also different power grids. You can make a cluster, a validator cluster, more resilient with every decentralization factor that you add up to it. So even hardware diversity, what if it's a 0-day attack or something like that, some kind of bug. So even if
or a hardware failure.
Yeah, exactly. If half of the cluster is running on Intel and the other half is running on AMD, this is actually something that impacts positively the cluster and its resilience. So,
and is there any latency involved with this sort of setup, or does it choose one to sort of run and uses the others as fallbacks?
So it depends on what you're using. There are many different solutions right now available. Most of those work with relays, but yeah, it's I've been running just experiments on DBT and like most of those on testnet, and it's something that definitely keeps improving, so that's that's the wonder of like peer-to-peer, kind of like how Ethereum clients themselves work.
Right. Hell yeah, man. It's good. Well, good luck with it, and I'm sure you're gonna kill it, especially with you've been in this space for so long. So.
Yeah, and also a huge shout out to Seed Nodes. I think it's another community and collective of node operators in Latin America that are doing amazing work, especially in education. So if you're interested about like running nodes in underrepresented geographic areas, I think definitely Seed Nodes is a great resource, especially for native Spanish speakers.
Seed nodes, like
Seed Nodes,
SEED.
Yes.
Okay, SEED nodes, maybe .com, or I don't know what their URL is, but definitely check it out. So we're coming up on 4:30. Registration for the tournament's going to start in about half an hour. I think we should clean up and get everything ready and going. Thank you so much for coming up and chatting a little bit with us.
Thank you for having me, and thanks to all of this amazing house. It's a really cool atmosphere.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we like to put on a good vibe, a good party, and so hopefully we'll have that tonight as well with a good amount of people coming in. We're gonna make a lot of people happy with some food and some video games. So.
Oh yeah, the best food, one of the best games, definitely, and one lucky winner is gonna take this Switch home, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Let's go. Maybe we were going to try to tweet out the tournament as it happens as well, with the names to see who advances and makes it to the Final Four. So
yeah, may the best player win. Hopefully, it's not going to be using Kirby because that would piss me off.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you guys. I'm gonna wind this stream down, and call over JT to get it all shut down. But thank you very much. This is B Smokes and Chewy out in ETHDenver. Thank you to the EVMavericks and JT.
Yep, I'm in party mode, man. I got the shirt on. Hodler Con for life. Let's go. Hey, we'll see you all later. Thanks so much for tuning in. Follow everybody else on X that's doing this, at ProDJKC, at EVMavericks, at Pistachio.fi. Who else we got? Mansell. We got Plume. And, dailydudes.com. And this is technically episode 101. And make sure you get your shit posts in on Reddit, okay? Or Ethereum is where you want to be. Cheers and big hugs from Denver, Colorado.
Bye, everybody.